also got You're in the Reef, which is one of the best shark films in recent times.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, it's great.
Often people really love that show. Like,
It's great.
It always, in America, they do this thing called Shark Week. I don't know if you've ever been in the States for that. The Discovery Channel will do it or something. And, like, people go nuts for Shark Week.
Yeah.
And I used to get a lot of comments over there about how people love it.
It's
quite realistic in some ways.
Yeah, it was really good. I can't imagine how much time you spend in the water.
Too much time.
Yeah. And I'm assuming the labour laws were all looked after. Oh my God, you were never waiting in there too long.
Yeah. I sort of had a bit of PTSD after doing that. And I remember actually this kind of kooky thing. I went to see a kinesiologist or some kind of like Hawaiian massage therapist. I'm trying to remember it. I didn't tell her anything about the job, but I just went to get a therapeutic massage to try and like stop myself, because after we finished shooting I kept dropping things all the time and I kept just like shattering plates. And I was just sort of like had no semi kind of PTSD.
Wow.
And I was just like really frightened of things and I couldn't sleep properly. I was having nightmares and so I went to see a few people just to try and talk it through, like, get some of it out of my mind.
Yeah.
And I remember like this kinesiologist at the end, because, you know, kinesiologists sort of mix the body with the spirit a little bit. Yeah. So it's a little bit of like, you know, take it or leave it. But at the end she was like, I kept getting these visions of tiger sharks like swimming through the water and cutting through across us as I was massaging you. And I was like, so do I.
It's terrifying.
It really scared me. It really scared me.
That we're in deep water at one point, which means there are.
Yes, there was There was actually really only 1 or 2 days where we were very deep, but we were a long way from the safety boat.
Yeah,
and we had to. It was when It was when there's this boat capsized and they had to get a wide shot. And so that's always the thing that you fear when making a show, because you know a wide shot means no one else can be in it.
Yeah.
And so they basically had to leave us actors on this like upturned boat, and then we had to kind of jump off it one by one.
God.
And then wait there until the boats came in to get us. And so that was deep. And we were shooting like off the Fraser Coast, which is one of the locals said it's like called Great White Alley or something, like where we were shooting one day. I was just like, oh my God, what have I done? What have I done?
Also, you have to act.
I got out of it, but I was scared.
Yeah.
I mean, like 90% of the time we're actually shooting in water that was like knee deep.
Yeah,
so we were sort of like pretending, and then we'd stand up and they'd go cut. And it was quite funny because like the water was only that deep. But there was a few days where we did see actual tiger sharks, like when we were going in the boat to set and there was a tiger shark in the water.
No, thank you.
So it was a very, it was kind of, Yeah, but, you know, these are the things you do when you're in your 20s and for the passion of your career. And would I do them now? I don't know.
It's pretending you're afraid of sharks in the water acting.
Yeah.
Which I imagine very quickly turned into real fear.
Yeah. It's like, what is that brushing against my leg?
I've had one of my friends was in one of the mermaid shows, and she just said the just sheer amount of time in cold water was
It's pretty unpleasant. Long shoots in the water.
Now when I write for TV, if I'm in it, I'm like, I'm actually going to have to do this.
Yeah.
What situations are you comfortable with?
Cushiest career I could give my character.
Celia, this is nowhere near what you experienced, but Celia wrote a joke where I was next to a burning fireplace with a big woolly jumper and I had to sweat. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to do it. Or there was another one where I was like, I had to dive and have a car splat mud all over me and then land on the ground.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like,
yeah,
I really don't want to do this either. Like, it's just, But it also feels weird when you write a kissing scene and you're the writer.
Yeah.
You really want to do that.
And your character's getting kissed and you feel like this absolute lecherous pervert going, and then we kiss. And then they touch my leg.
She looks into his eyes.
Yeah.
She's never seen someone so handsome.
It's awful. It's so awkward.
We've got to introduce you, Luke McGregor,
Yes.
because no one knows who we're talking to.
Just dive straight in.
We have just.
What do you want to do?
Nice.
This is our
pun,
podcast.
by the way. We'll dive straight in.
We'll dive
straight in.
Really dive straight in. This is our podcast.
Is this a job?
Is this a job? I'm Adrienne Pickering, actor.
I'm Rayward Pickering, farmer. And comedian.
And comedian.
And this is our podcast.
Yes.
This is a job where we talk to creative people about how they do what they do in Australia, because it can be really hard.
It can be hard sometimes. It can be really satisfying, and the rewards are great, but also
You go through a
you
real
have to manage a lot.
Yeah. But this is going to be fun. As you've already heard, we've got an amazing guest.
No, we've got Luke McGregor in, actor, writer,
Yeah, was that all usable?
Actor,
comedian,
writer,
I wasn't sure if we'd started
comedian.
it off.
so much stuff. Star of Australian TV, stand-up stage,
what do
across the
you?
country.
What do you? Yeah, there's all these like different words for it. What do you say you do? Like,
I usually say
if there's a like.
comedian.
Okay.
But if I don't want to have a conversation with someone about it, I'll say writer.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
say, what do you write for? I write for TV, so sometimes the project or something. Like, I'll just make it up.
Okay.
If
if that's
I'm
in like
in an Uber or
something.
something,
Yeah.
But if it's comedian, I guess, is the main thing.
Yeah. How did you get into
Did you
it?
imagine? Did you always want to be a comedian? Did you?
Yeah.
Like how? Because you started quite young. I think I remember when we first met, we had a brief chat about this, but you kind of got into raw comedy
at the
Melbourne
at
Comedy
the Australian
Festival,
Ninja Warrior
right?
tryouts.
Fierce competitors.
More comedian path you should take.
I think you pushed me off one of the platforms. I was studying economics and public policy. I really wanted to get into not be a politician, but I wanted to be a policy advisor.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that something you decided in high school or something?
I just had like a real I wanted to be like a doctor and then a lawyer and all these other things. And then I thought,
Sensible career.
yeah. And then I was like,
Prestigious.
What'd be really nice would be like go one back and like rather than be a doctor, I wanted to work in like the policy of the health system, like reduce wait times, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Less touching of people and looking at gross things.
Yeah, and more like just enabling other people to do that better.
In a faster way.
Yeah. So, and economics I love because it's like you can use numbers to argue like moral arguments. For example, like you can come up with a model that shows companies this is why it's better to treat your employees nicer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can show them with real data. The work week's a great example of that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know,
You mean the 4-day working week?
yeah,
Or
showing people that
efficiency
9 to 5 with with one lunch break is not necessarily the. Anyway, it's all that was really appealing to me. But then I was my housemate Simon and friend. I have to label him. Sorry, Simon.
Ticking both boxes.
Yeah. And friend, I guess.
Fun house to be in.
And that's it. We haven't hung out at all since I moved out. So I don't know.
Ex-friend.
Ex-friend,
Yeah.
Ex-housemate.
Ex-housemate. He was doing a stand-up spot and we went along to support him.
Oh.
And I got
Is this in Hobart?
the Raw comedy tryouts.
Oh, yeah.
And so I, which is Raw comedy's like budget Australian Idol for comedians.
Yes.
I hope I haven't insulted anyone by saying that. It doesn't have the budget. It
It's
doesn't have the
not so
budget of
much
some
budget.
of the,
Yeah.
the big commercial
It's
ones.
hosted by Marsha Hines, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's Kyle Sanderlands and Marsha. And someone didn't show up, and I was a bit tipsy, so I said, "Can I get up?" And
Really?
so I did a spot. And
Wow.
it went.
But you hadn't prepared any material.
Not really. I'd written a couple of jokes in case,
In case the opportunity.
on the way, in case something happened, just because like, oh,
So you're really thinking like that would be a good thing?
Yeah.
And so then
Good on you.
I got up, and for the first 2 minutes, I talked about how funny I was, and said to people like, "You might want to put down your drink because you're going to spill it on yourself when I start." And the crowd were loving it. Like they went with me.
Wow.
And then the last 3 minutes, I had no jokes and bombed.
Just quiet.
Oh, no.
But the first bit went.
You could
It
like
was so much
taste
fun.
It. Yeah.
It felt like coming home or something.
Yeah.
And so and then I just never stopped.
Wow.
Wow. So
you
you just took 2 minutes of
Yeah.
that feeling.
Cut to
And you got
this podcast.
the pinnacle of
Pretty
your
much
career.
reached the top.
It's but it's
So
I never
did you
stopped.
did you get
incredible.
through as well? Like on that? No.
The next year I did.
Did Simon?
The next year I went to the finals.
Can you do it twice?
I don't know if Simon did actually.
Yeah, you can do it
He's very
3
funny,
times.
but he's into advertising. I'm not sure if he still does it, but he's a very funny man. But no, I went through the next one. They were looking at maybe putting me in as a wild card, but I think there were some moments where if I'd handled an email or a call
Yeah.
differently, I could have got up.
Yeah.
But I was very open about the fact that I didn't have any material. So there was potential
They were
there. There was
hesitant to put you
Bit
on.
too
I guess.
honest.
there was a little, So
So you were studying though when you kind of like had this little bug. Did you finish your degrees?
yes, I was at uni for ages, like 7 years for a 4-year
Oh,
degree.
wow. So you're very
I was
qualified.
swapping
Yeah.
around. I was doing other
okay.
subjects. I was doing teaching.
Okay.
I was doing physics and chemistry to try and get into med, and then I was doing law.
Wow. Yeah, these are all really like
And then I just finished my economics degree just to finish it.
yeah.
But then just did jobs, whatever job, but while I was trying to do comedy.
Yeah.
Comedy. So was it your drive to do those sensible sort of uni things, or were you getting a little bit of
There was part wanting to like be the first one in the family to get a degree.
yes, oldest brother?
And mum and dad had helped with some help pay accommodation when I was in Launceston doing a degree that I would never end up finishing. So there was guilt there as well. The thought of doing it full time was not even a thought until
Because it's just not enough time because you wanted to do the comedy.
yeah,
as
and you're
well.
getting paid like
Yeah.
with a chicken schnitzel and a beer.
Yeah.
And sometimes you wouldn't get either of those.
Yeah.
They'd say you get it and then they go, I talk to the
like-
guy and there's not
Yeah.
enough schnitzels.
Yeah, they've closed the kitchen.
Yeah, they closed the kitchen.
Yeah.
So it's it just didn't think I could do it full time.
Yeah.
I just knew I liked it.
It seems to be the path of a lot of people. Is like it's hard to do it full time because you need to afford to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess that's the apprenticeship of most jobs, though, in a way. Isn't
Yeah.
it? Did you sort of see it like that in the beginning, like
Yeah.
just something you just had to keep going and then it would get easier, or
No, I
not
think
so much?
like they'll be, because it's like acting, right? You'll be on a show that does well, that's well liked, and then I think people assume, okay, they're set for life now, and that
Yes.
but it's
Yeah.
not. It's like it's always, you're always sort of
Exactly.
churning and
Yes.
and so I just didn't. And my mum and dad used to argue about money a lot growing up. They're always worried about money, especially dad. And so I had it in my head that happiness was safety.
Hard. Yeah.
It was having a job, was having a 9-to-5 that I knew I'd have a job the next year. I knew what my income was. I could plan bills. So the thought of just living off gigs
Yeah.
was
Transient
terrifying.
kind of-
Yeah. Yeah.
So I gave myself, I was working in superannuation as like a data analyst. So a lot of spreadsheets and messing around with numbers and
Did you like that though?
yeah,
Like,
it was
kind
fun,
of-
but I'm like,
yeah.
this is as fun as this can be for me. Like this
Yeah.
is, I've got a
You
fair
didn't
bit of
see a
autonomy.
progression kind of.
Just that I'm like, I had autonomy. I had some people I worked with that I liked. I really love spreadsheets. I'm like, this is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But this is as good as it'll get. And I could see that playing out until I'm 65.
Yeah.
And I was doing it during the financial crisis. So there was a period there where I was talking to people on the phone about their super, and they'd go from like 500 grand. And then the next day they'd have like 250.
Oh my gosh.
And they're like, what do I do? And
what's happening in America right now.
And then, well, yeah. And it's that thing where you have to hope and pray that when you retire, the economy is good. Otherwise, your
Yeah.
super goes down. There's nothing you can do about it. It
Timing
turns
of
investors.
when you need to take the super out. Right?
And the only thing you have as an option when you're that age is to work longer and hope that
It
money goes
picks
back
back
up,
up.
or just take your losses and then you've lost half your. Like, you would have been better with just putting your money in the bank. So that sort of made me think, and I didn't really think it at the time, but I think at the time it did have an influence on me. I'm
Sort
like,
of weighing on
there's
you.
no safety.
No.
No matter what you're doing, there's no safety. There should be. I don't want to get into the economics of universal basic income and stuff like that. But in our current society, there's not a lot of safety. And I had more safety than most because I, decent job. I had a degree. I'm a straight white man. I had the advantages,
Yeah.
but I still felt like it could all go away. And so I saved up about 15 grand. I lived off canned tuna, rice and peas with a little bit of sweet and chili sauce.
It's like my uni degree.
Yeah.
I did it at uni too. I couldn't eat it again. I hate it now. And then I gave myself a year. I said, give yourself a year to do this, and if it doesn't work out. And Mum and Dad were very supportive. Mum and Dad said, Mum said, send me your bank statements because I want to see if this is working or not. And I'm like, I'm going to send you my bank statements. And Dad said, I don't care what you do as long as you don't ask me for money. So
Oh, okay.
Sort of supportive.
yeah, so when I said very supportive, that was sarcasm.
Yeah,
They were not supportive
really.
at all. Yeah.
Trusting.
And what's annoying is Mum will say to people now, I was so proud of Luke and I was really supportive. I'm like, no, you weren't. This is you were terrified.
Because it is scary,
It's a terrible
though, I guess,
idea.
isn't it? It is
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
Wow.
And did it take a long time before you were able to sort of sustain yourself with a career? Or
took a
did you
li-
nearly give
Yeah,
up
like a
before
year
you got there?
isn't very long.
Yeah. It was
that's it.
it took a while. It took a while to earn as much as I was earning in super, but it didn't take that long for me to be earning enough to live off.
Wow. Yeah.
To not have to worry about. Well, not have to worry. I still worried, but not worry not worry so much that I had to go back to work. I was able to live sort of fairly modestly and do comedy. And that was struggling with money and doing comedy was on my worst day was better than my best day working in super. So that was enough.
That's so
And now there's
interesting.
such a gap in my resume, I don't think I could go back.
It would be hard, probably.
Yeah,
A lot's changed.
now I'm really locked in.
Wow.
Yeah. You really put all your eggs in one
Once
basket.
once people uncover all my pro-Nazi tweets from a couple of years ago, so I just had to go until then.
So around 2008, you kind of was that when you were like, okay, you were in Melbourne.
I was in
and
Melbourne.
You were
and
thinking,
I just got,
okay, this is my year.
Yeah, I was in Melbourne. I got to Royal Comedy National Finals, which was good. That was
Launching
momentum.
Yeah,
But
because
then
the
there was
final
like
is a big show, and
and then it was kind of going to gigs and rooms and saying, "Oh, I did the Royal Comedy National Final," and people just not giving a shit, and just having to sort of go to gigs, watch, look like I'm buy drinks, look like I'm supporting, and then eventually get up and pray that spot goes well, and then use that to leverage more spots until there's enough momentum that I'm like, okay, now I'm known by the room runners. Now I can get gigs.
Yes,
exactly.
And getting enough credibility that if I did have a bad gig, people thought that was a bad gig, not this guy's a bad comedian.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it was good.
How did you go with material? Like, did you find, how did that evolve over time?
Melbourne was great because in Tassie, same people would come to the gig.
You needed a new five every time.
So you'd have to be constantly coming up with new material. Was Melbourne, I'd be like, man, I've been doing this joke for 6 months and no one said anything. No one even knows. So it was a real relief. I was like, it's way better.
A lot of people talk about with comedy, you've really got to find your own voice and your own path through it and your own authentic way, and that's what the audience connects with. You seem like you really maybe found that in the beginning, like you seem very authentically you.
Yeah.
Your sense of humour, and it's very infectious.
I think.
Do you recognize that, or is that something you had to, like, did you try and be like someone, do you try and be like Jack Black to begin with and then, and then kind of go like, this isn't working out.
Yeah, I'm tenacious.
Or were you
tenacious
always,
E.
Like, did your own sort of authentic self, like it was just present from the beginning?
Yeah, I think you can be a character, and as long as you're congruent with that character, it'll work. But yeah, for me, I just it was just I'll get up and I'll say what I think's funny, and just know that I'll probably never be cast as a tough biker. And that's okay. So yeah, my comedy definitely came from anxiety. It was a little bit more unhealthier at the start just because I was so nervous on stage that I'd hyperventilate, I'd have panic attacks.
Oh wow.
Whereas now
on stage while you were doing it.
I'd have to start to consciously breathe out because I'd start to get pins and needles all down my arms and legs.
Oh my gosh.
And you just kept going?
You had to, right?
Wow.
I mean, what are you going to do?
Well,
Sorry,
most people wouldn't. Most people I mean, who am I to say most people, but a lot of people might go like, whoa, this is way too stressful. I'm not going to do this anymore.
There's a period where it's
you're
just
obviously
like,
getting something out of it to keep pushing through a panic attack.
there was a period where I'm just like, am I even enjoying this? Like, I was so nervous before gigs, whereas now really fun. Like it's still, like I'm still, you still get it's more of a nervous excitement now.
Yes.
So
Practice, I guess. Like it's sort of getting used to that feeling
Yeah.
of panic and being able to ride it and enjoy the liberation of that moment.
I think it's definitely practice. It's definitely just having a lot of gigs under your belt. But I think it's also just my mindset switched to like, I think I had so long away from it. I'm just like, I missed it, and now it's fun.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was, it felt like, I don't know, I was worried that I was not enough, or I was progressing too fast, and like I was going from like a 20-seater to a 60-seater to a 400 to an 1,000, and I'm just like, I'm not worthy of this, and I'd start to panic. And then I went to Edinburgh, and I just wasn't ready, and I had a horrible time. And whereas now it's like, oh, this is really fun. I'm really grateful I get to do this.
Yes.
Wow.
So you've come back now after, I think you said 8 years last night.
8 years since I did a
this
new
is
stand-up
new
show. Yeah.
Stand-up solo show. Yeah. And so now it just feels more fun.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. I mean, and a lot's happened.
Well, you guys
since
were
then.
there
We
last night.
found-
Yeah.
we loved it.
So good.
Thank
Oh
you.
my
Loaded
God.
question. 'cause
wonderful.
I'm-
Like
Oh
everyone's
my God, look, it's so good.
I mean, you would never know that you were gone for 8 years is a long time. With stand-up, I mean, you're talking to other stand-ups, it's like, oh, you go out almost every night to do gigs. 8 years is an incredibly long time between gigs. Were you nervous about like...
Not really.
Or you were
because
just
I was still doing the odd stand-up gig.
Yeah, but
So
just not a full hour show.
Yeah. I
right.
was really nervous at the start because I was worried I hadn't got enough material or I hadn't run the show. But we did a gig. My wife organised for like 12 people to come to our house, sit in the lounge room, and I did it for them. So there was my
supportive.
neighbours. There was my wife's gynecologist.
good idea.
And I just performed the show for these people. And that was really nerve-wracking. So to do it in front of a bunch of strangers was a relief. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, my God. If my wife's gynecologist staring at me.
Quite a lot of pressure, yeah.
That is actually terrifying.
Yeah. Shout out to Dr.
Wow.
Layla if you're listening.
Hope they chucked you a freebie.
Yeah.
Free baby.
Yeah. Check your freebies. I'm just like, what image is in my head now? But yeah, it's fun. It's good to be back.
Was it a conscious choice of, was there
I mean,
a
you'd
moment?
obviously, those 8 years, you'd been busy with other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Writing and-
enough was happening that I didn't. So there was Rosehaven with Celia. There was Taskmaster. There was enough
Yeah,
stuff.
so much
And I was
other
doing lots of little things around the place.
Yeah.
There was enough happening that I didn't need stand-up anymore. And I tended, because I was, Seals and I were working on Rosehaven for so long, when I thought of a joke, I tended to
Guide
Put it in
into
there.
that.
yeah. Whereas there's like
interesting.
when I married Amy, the two-step kids, I'd be constantly trying to make them laugh, and so I was sort of already had momentum trying to write jokes that I thought
them.
they would find funny, and then gradually I started to, I don't know, it made me want to write again, and so I just started to miss doing stand-up.
Yeah. Wow. Well-
I just really wanted to come back to it.
Yeah. Well, let's go back. So how did Rosehaven, like, because that was your first writing, like, opportunity, was it? Writing a pilot or anything like that?
I'd done it. It's a Date for Peter Hellier. Yeah. Were you on that one?
I was on that one.
Yeah, I did. I wrote,
But not your ref.
No, I
But
wrote one
I
out.
didn't realise you were writing that too.
I only wrote one. I think it might have been maybe Jim Owen's app. I can't remember who
Yes.
it was.
Such a great idea for a show, that
It
one.
was great. Yeah.
So good.
So I'd had a little bit of writing experience, but Seals and I met on Utopia, and we got along really well. It was quite an arrogant thought, really. We thought this banter's so good. We should we should be on TV.
we should have our spin-off.
Yeah, we should have,
Yeah,
we should have
yeah.
our own show. This is great. And so,
Well, Utopia did a number of series too, right?
yeah. Oh, so Utopia was
That's
a
sort
huge
of like
break for
over
me.
many
Yeah,
years
wow.
too.
And that was your first, sorry, I'm asking several different questions, but that was
Right,
your
it's your
first.
podcast.
Yeah.
This is how we run it. These are our rules.
But that was your first, like, intro into acting then as well?
That was my first, I played a nervous redhead.
Yeah.
It's a very big stretch for me.
Wow.
And
Did you have to read for it? They were just like, we like you.
I think it was more they put me on, and if I stuffed up, they'd get rid of me.
And you did a good job, and so they expanded the role.
But it was.
I mean, you're a very integral role to the,
It was great. I did it for 2 seasons, and then the 3rd season clashed with my live tour, and I was really starting to have some momentum with stand-up, and so I couldn't do the 3rd season, which was one of the hardest decisions ever, because Working Dog are they're heroes of mine, and to say to them, "Thank you, but I've got a tour," was I was
a really tough one.
terrified.
But but in that time in your life, you were just more focused on stand up.
It was going.
You'd already booked it.
It was going really well, and to do Utopia instead of the tour was I just couldn't.
Big sacrifice.
It was just I just couldn't make it work. But it was really hard, and for ages I was worried. Working okay to me, and so I was like, when I finally got invited on, have you been paying attention or something like that? I'm thank God they don't hate me.
I'll cancel my whole tour.
I'll do whatever, anything else they ask for, I will do it immediately. I just can't do this. But yeah, it was where I met Celia, and we were on ABC's radar. The head of comedy at the time, we had enough momentum that we were able to pitch something. And Rosehaven was like our 5th pitch, I think. We had a few other shows that didn't get up. I can't even remember what some of them were now. Yeah. But and then Rosehaven was the head of comedy at the time was a massive fan of what's it called? Northern Exposure.
Oh, yeah.
And
Mum used to watch Northern Exposure.
And Rosehaven to him sounded a lot like Northern Exposure. And so we pitched it to him and he goes, yeah, I love this.
It's kind of black. It sounds kind of black comedy sort of.
It was just that sort of laid back in a small town. Yeah. And he goes, feels a lot like Northern Exposure. I'd never seen Northern Exposure. But I said, it is a lot like Northern Exposure. And then I had to go back and watch it.
Do whatever it takes.
Yeah. Just say whatever it would be, yes.
Yeah.
Thank God it wasn't racist
great.
or something.
That's my memories of
there's some parts of it that haven't aged well.
Yeah.
There's like a very large...
bit soapy or daggy.
No. There's a character that's like, based on the storyline, the age gap is like 60 years or something. If timings work out, I think she might have been underage when they.
Oh God!
I don't know. I can't. You have to. I don't want to. It is an excellent show, and I don't want to disparage it. But there is one story. There is one storyline.
But that was a main source of inspiration for your show.
There's probably one storyline I go snip snip.
Yeah.
But otherwise, great show.
Yeah. So when those pitches don't work, do you just keep on going because you're like, well, we still got this in, we just got to...
Yeah, that must be like heartbreaking in a way.
A partner like Celia, who, to keep going.
Yeah, having a friend that is...
Fifth pitch, like nothing happens straight away, although from the outside it's like, wow, look at this career. It's gone from here to here to here. But you know what I mean? There's a lot of kind of persistence and
pitching
doubt.
And disappointing. And
yeah, did you ever think like... I'm just going to keep doing stand-up. I don't want to get into this TV game. I'll just wait. Like, what was it that made you want to do it?
Hollywood
keep
can
going.
wait. It was very comforting having something we had control over if it didn't work out, which was stand-up.
Yeah.
But pitching was, I think once people in those sort of gatekeepers, once they like you, you can just sort of keep trying to pitch.
Yeah.
And so we didn't feel...
And you sort of refine your storytelling. In
so it's more about finding something that you and they both like.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess the tricky part is, if you pitch something and then someone says to you, we'll let you make it, but it needs to be set on a pirate ship or something. You're like, I really don't want to be on a pirate ship. But I hate pirate ships. But we just kept trying, and luckily we found something that we both liked.
So good. And was the experience of making it good?
Yeah. It was a really good... It taught Sils and I conflict resolution really well, I think, because we would have... a
lot of biffos on set with each other.
Oh, not so much on set, more behind the scenes where it was just like there was a creative decision that had to be made that there was no right answer to. Or even like a scene where we thought our take was really good in that scene, but not the other one. And so we'd have to like what do you do, rock, paper, scissors?
Yeah.
And then sometimes the director wouldn't want to make the call. And so it was really, and there were so many times when the fact that Seals and I were besties that enabled us to we became like brother and sister almost. It was, it was great, but only because
of that
Celia.
relationship.
I think I can't imagine doing it with someone who you had a falling out with because it's so intense and you're in the worst mood sometimes, but you've got to be in the best mood to be on stage. And it was to be on camera. Sorry, but it just made me feel closer to Seals. We were just lucky. We were just really lucky that we got along as well as we did, and nothing ever was big enough to break us up. And then that whatever would cause a conflict would make us stronger. And then it was we were and now even though it's not on anymore, we still hang out regularly. So,
that's a very good sign.
So it was really hard, but it was definitely some of the best experiences of my life. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that's so wonderful to hear. Yeah.
Did you find the acting part of it quite fulfilling as well? Like you were enjoying that? Because it's hard, I guess, being a writer. So did you direct it as well?
No, we had two directors. We had Jonathan Brough and Sean Wilson directing. We wrote and we were acting. We very sillily wrote ourselves in almost every scene, which meant we got very few breaks. The only time that was hard acting wise was when I'd write myself like a monologue and then I'd be there on the set that day and they'd be like, you've got 2 seconds of daylight, so you can only get one take of this. And then I'd hate my past self for writing such a long bit.
I have to remember it.
Oh, bloody hell, who wrote this? You did. Yeah.
Steep learning curve.
Yeah.
Did you never felt like it was, we use the term sometimes like talking to each other like pivoting. It's not really pivoting because you were still doing something. It wasn't like you were giving up stand-up. You were still exploring something that you wanted to do. Whereas sometimes like Ada, instead of acting, you do like voice work. So it's a bit of like there's some kind of compromise and like, well, I would really like to do stand-up, but you're doing the writing. It doesn't sound like it was that for you. Like it was just like
different avenues of
this.
Yeah, it was,
your
I guess,
skills.
different ways of being funny. Or I think it all comes, I think creativity, sorry to sound wanky, but I feel like it all comes from a place of like, I've got something I want to share with people.
Yeah.
Whether it's, your acting ability or your singing or your writing. I feel like it all comes from a place of I want this to exist outside of me that other people can experience it. And so that it never felt like I was doing something different. It was just like a different format of the same coming from the same place.
Yeah. Wow. How did you?
Yeah, that's just perfect. Such a good description of it. Don't you think? I think that that's the generosity of it, and that was like watching your show last night. There's such an open, generous. It is sharing something, and I think like there's something in that people
it's not that generous.
Really
like people have to pay to be there.
That's true. Well, we didn't. Thanks for that.
That's true.
Thanks for that, by the way. No, but I mean, I guess like a generosity of like sharing the joke and sharing the space and sharing your own anxiety or your own like your own personality and your own fears and your own like whatever it is, quirks and your humanity.
Yeah.
That's the generosity I mean, is sharing all of your humanity.
There's definitely there's a vulnerability to it, I suppose.
We love to do that.
It is sort of you giving, I guess, of yourself, but it's it's not a doctor saving someone's life, but it is it's a sharing. It's like I want this out there. And I don't know how much it is a balance of like you don't want to just live off external validation versus I want to do this for me. But it is, I think this is what I find funny and enjoy talking about, and hopefully other people do too. Yeah.
We often talk about some of the lows.
Yeah. Assuming you have no low points.
Yeah.
No, my showbiz career has been nothing
from the
nothing but
outside
great.
though, like, it's like you're so successful and you've done all these things. But I mean, for a lot of creative industries, there is like this, some people refer to it as the investment phase of like how it is just putting yourself out there for something like, like a decade or more, where it's just like you got to keep showing up and you just got to keep doing it.
Yeah, what is it? Root work versus fruit work, or it's planning roots? Yeah,
or it just feels like black holes to me sometimes in my career. Just like you just like fall into a black hole and then you come out of it again when there's something else, or, you know, you do a new series and it gets picked up. And from the outside, it seems like there's no break, but actually there might have been a year of turmoil of writing stuff and it not being right and not feeling satisfied. And
feeling like
you're sort of banging your head against
like
a credible. You can't find the
just,
outlet. Yes.
Like maybe I need to go back to super. Like, was there ever like?
Has there ever been a thought of that?
Yeah, constantly. I asked my accountant a little while ago because they manage some quite rich clients, and I said, "Are there any of your rich clients that like stop worrying about money?" And he goes, "No, never."
Really?
Yeah, no matter what level of money people have, they're always like, I worry about it. Some of them worry about it more. And I'm like, okay, so that's nothing to look forward to if I ever reach that.
Exactly. It's a good thing to realise though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is, yeah. I think I've been really trying to feel grateful for what I'm getting to do at the moment and what has happened, but it's it's still the same. Like I'll see someone on Instagram doing better, and I'll be like, "Oh man, I'm a piece of shit."
Do you really?
Yeah. Like it never stops.
No.
There's always something to. It's the battle. Like
He's bigger on the bill than me, or something. It's so hard, isn't it? Like
just like any sort of like. I thought there's certain things where like when I was first starting, I thought if I ever get my own TV show, I will be content. And then as soon as I got that, then the next goal is like, if I don't have a TV show that gets played somewhere,
if I don't win the
Britain or
Logie.
something, then I'll. There's always a moving goalpost.
if I'm not the producer, or if
Yeah.
I'm not the
So I'm trying to feel grateful, knowing that gratitude is that if you can,
isn't that funny?
that won't eliminate your drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll just make you feel better. So that's what I'm trying to focus on at the moment, just because that's what I'll tell my kids to do, but I'm not doing it.
But
So
the
I'm trying to
first
do
step
it.
is just realizing it.
Yeah.
Right?
I'll
That's
be
what they say.
like,
So at least you notice it.
Yeah.
Because I think otherwise you're in a trap. If you're just sort of like blindly looking through the Instagram and not realizing how jealous and upset it's making you feeling and not able to objectively
Yeah.
go, whoa, look at what that's doing.
yeah, it's almost like social media is designed to make us feel bad
make
and
us feel
stay
bad.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to speak badly about massive corporations, but it does feel like they don't want us to be our best selves sometimes.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does.
How do you feel like social media plays a role in creative industries? We were talking to a musician a few weeks ago, and for comedians, I mean, it's such a good way to share what you're doing and try to get more people in. But I guess when you started in 2008, there would have been like Facebook, but not Instagram and like these other ways to share clips and stuff.
Different now, yeah.
It's like I think harder. I mean, I don't know because obviously I wasn't coming up when you were, but I feel like it's harder in some respects for people now because there's that drive of like, well, you've got to put something up. You've got to get a good clip and like put something up now. And if you don't, it's like, well, yeah, you're what are you doing?
Yeah, I think like if you want to be like a makeup artist now, it's almost like you need another skill. Like, it's not enough to be good at your job. You also have to be good at socials and good at projecting it. I think it's a bit easier for us because we can just grab a clip and put it up and hope it gets traction. But I think I think social media is it can be a really powerful tool. But it's also like you are beholden to one or two massive companies that don't care and have like it's I don't know, I think it's great. I love that I'm able to film something and just put it out there straight away. But it's tricky and it can feel like
navigate.
you've got to like I got invited to do some content creator things, and the advice they gave me you could do like a coaching session, and I was talking to someone.
I mean, like as an influencer.
As an influencer,
right.
and their advice basically boiled down to, so you should be posting every day, and I'm like, oh, okay.
It's going to take a lot of time.
Yeah. They're like, so you posting...
Well, I need to know my login so to get into Instagram.
Right?
Or can I do this without actually using it?
Yeah, I can't pass the catch. Sorry, I don't know if that's a bike or if that's it's too far away. So it's and that's tough. And then if you're doing that, then it's more time away from other stuff you'd rather be doing.
Exactly.
So it's more time away from being a parent or writing, like your other sort of main.
Yeah, I can't parent you right now. I've got to feel real.
We joke about it, but that
it's
is what people are doing.
It's hard, and it, if you can do it well, it helps sell tickets and things like that. But it's a tricky. I don't know how to balance it yet.
Yeah.
But it is a constant thing in the background where I'm like, I need to feed this.
You should be so posting more for the algorithm. You got to feed the algorithm.
Do you have to keep feeding it?
Yeah.
I think.
Well, yeah. That's
the more you post, the more
it shows up.
Yeah, because they want people. Because I mean, just from a profit perspective, their goal is to keep people on the platform. So they want to elevate people who are
new stuff.
uploading constantly, so people have got new stuff to look at.
Yeah.
So it's
just flood it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got.
Well, yeah, because it's ridiculous. Because on Facebook, like if you've got a page, there's this option to boost it, and one of the options is like boost so that everyone that likes your page sees it. You're like, well then. But
Isn't
what's
that
the
whole point
point
of Facebook anyway?
Exactly.
The algorithm.
So it's like, well,
big
if they like your
corporations.
page, shouldn't they be seeing what I'm posting anyway?
It's a tricky one, and
Like you said, they don't care about us really.
no, which is hard because if you've got a political point to make, you don't. There's no like these aren't like these free speech town halls. These are profit making companies who control the narrative that gets out there. So. Like you're not going to your anti-Facebook video is not going to get pushed on Facebook. Like it might, but it might just go to people who already think that way.
There's also a lot of bullies on Facebook, so
I've never had anyone put anything mean to me.
frightened of that too.
I don't know what you mean. Yeah.
Do you read the comments? Do you read reviews?
Sometimes. But I try not to just because if there's like there was one I read from, there was like a 2-star review of one of my shows from like 8 years ago, 10 years ago. And I read it like 2 days ago just before I went on stage. I'm like, why did I do
As a
that?
good reminder.
Yeah. I was like, I just
Were you getting you were too full of yourself?
I was having a good run. I'm like, let's see if anyone reviews around. And then I read this review and this guy goes, this guy sucks. And I'm like, oh, so then I had to go on stage.
God.
And it wasn't even for this show. It was for another show.
10 years ago. Just keeping yourself humble. Yeah.
I think that's probably in the what not to do pre-show.
I would not recommend to any comedians out there. No.
I was just going to say, so you're talking about advice to your kids before of how to, I guess, sort of remember what's most important and
It's
a lot
feel
of
fulfilled.
in terms of feeling fulfilled.
Not putting it onto what everyone else is doing and your own.
Outside fulfillment, yes.
They really do.
I
was just going to, sorry, you go.
I was just going to ask, is there any other advice you would give either to yourself, maybe starting out, or to them, to someone embarking on a career such as this, I guess in any creative field, but particularly sort of writing or comedy or something where you've got to put yourself out there?
Yeah. I think with kids, you really have to lead by example. Like you can tell them till you're blue in the face something, but if they don't see you acting like that, that's what they really copy.
Yeah.
Is how you move through the world, I think. There is some stuff that sticks. You should absolutely try and give them good advice, but there's a lot of times where it's someone insults them and I'll be like, just let it wash off you. Whereas I remember insults from 20 years ago.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
Still cry.
There's a guy ages ago who like ruffled my hair at a party and I still think about it. Like how I should have reacted.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to tell my kids, just let it wash off you.
Such a power play.
Because they're like,
the hair
right?
Such a power play.
And mine was a normally my hair will just stay in whatever formation it
So
began in.
obedient.
But it was a bit longer at that point and he really ruined some hard work. And some good gel. But it's that thing where I'll tell my kids, just ignore them. It's not, you're above it. They're jealous of you. And then in my head, I'm going, what am I saying? And I would not stop thinking about it.
On it.
Yeah. So I try and just be a grateful and kind person. And then hope that rubs off on them.
Do you think
then apologise when I do something that's not that. Because my parents never really, especially Dad, never apologised.
Yeah.
Even though there was some clear so I try and I also want them to know if you do something wrong, it's okay to own it, admit it, learn from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful trait. just being able to apologise. I mean, a lot harder than it should be sometimes,
Yeah.
I think, to say sorry.
And sometimes you have to do it.
I find it
like-
really hard sometimes.
Yeah.
I know,
Especially
even though
when
I'm
you have to
right.
say sorry, even though you're right.
Yeah.
It's especially hard.
Yeah.
No, it's easy to say sorry to you. I find it really hard to say sorry to my kids. Like if I make a mistake parenting or something, or I like lose my temper, but they really did do the wrong thing too. And so then it's hard to
Be
like,
the better,
yeah,
the bigger.
it's hard to go like, I also shouldn't have thrown
What do
your
you do?
teddy across the room.
Yeah. It's hard.
But I was really tired. But I'm not making an excuse for it. You
Yeah.
shouldn't have thrown the teddy across the room. But I did ask you 17 times if you wanted to take it. I find it hard to swallow.
It's hard, yeah, and you don't want to. You kind of want to encourage certain behaviours. I really struggle with it. I think it's as long as they know you clearly love them and appreciate them. I think it's it's okay. It's more about what are they mostly seeing. I think
Yes, exactly.
But it also annoyed me because now I'm like, part of what made me not be too angry at my parents was like, oh, parenting's really hard, and they probably hit us because they're stressed. And then as a parent, I'll watch my son like spill some milk on the bench, which normally would have got me whacked, and I go, that's okay, mate, and help him clean it up. I'm like, oh wow, my parents were just dicks.
Yeah. Yeah. A little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
Also, different time, different education for them, and different. It's sort of like it is hard because they grew up with a different.
It was already like illegal to hit your kids at that point.
Yeah, you're not that old.
This was a couple years ago.
There was something my wife showed me, was like, oh no, there was legislation in place that said
Wow.
don't hit your kids.
Yeah.
I'm not positive about that, but yes, it was different, but also it was a bench
Yeah.
spill.
Yeah. It's some milk.
Yeah.
But you've broken the cycle, because often what happens as a parent is you do the same thing and then you go like, oh, I can't believe I just said that
Yeah,
same annoying
you've
thing that I
turned
remember
into
my
your
parent
parent.
doing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't enjoy it then.
But I don't want to. I'm sick of broken cycles. I want to be the guy who's coming up after the cycle's already. But yeah, it is. It's good. But it's constantly reacting in a way that your parents would have, because that's what was demonstrated
Yeah.
to you. Catching yourself reacting in a better way, and then hating your parents because they could have done that too.
They did.
Yeah.
Oh, it's kind of this whole new insight into your parents.
Yeah. Oh, it's a weird, and also seeing your kids like have opportunities that you didn't have as a kid because for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then they're like complaining on the way to whatever seventh activity they're on the way, and you're like, I never would have got this when I was a kid.
Titles.
Yeah, but they're not trying not to say that to them because that's they've only got their experience. So
Yeah.
it's not. Yeah, it's a real. It's parenting is.
Wow.
Is I love it, but it can be. It's constantly like catching myself.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like even though it is quite a like relatively new thing, you seem like thrust kind of into being a parent in the last like 3 or 4 years.
I've been in my stepkids' lives for about 3 years now, and the newborn baby. But it's
You seem to have just like
That's a
gone with
lot.
it
3
so
kids.
well.
It's a lot.
I really love it. Because I
Yeah.
was someone who didn't want kids, and then now that I've got children, I'm really like I love it. And so I don't know how I would have, because there's no trial period with children. You can't borrow them for a month and see how you feel. So it's,
I don't like this one.
so I just got lucky that I met someone who had kids and then went, oh wow, this is great.
Yeah.
You got like these two little buddies who just remind you, like one of them really likes, my daughter really likes anime and horror films, which I'm like two of my favorite hobbies.
That's you.
And my son really likes video games and superheroes, which again
Yeah.
is pretty much all I'm into. So I was right
A jackpot.
They'd be talking about Demon Slayer, and I'd be like, oh yeah, have you seen the train arc? It's really good. And so I was really worried they wouldn't like me, and I'd be in love with Amy, and then have these two people who just sort of put up with me. But now I've got like Amy, and then I got these
Little buddies.
two buddies out of it. So now a baby. So it's it's great.
It sounds amazing. If one of them was to turn around and be like, I want to pursue stand-up or acting or something creative, what would you...
Oh, yeah, I'll full on Nepo baby. I'll be like, whatever whatever doors are open to me are open to you. My eldest does want to, at least at the moment, pursue that, and I'm sort of already encouraging it. And the hardest thing will be like if Sils and I get another shop and then they audition for a role and they're terrible, and I'm like, oh my god, what do I do now?
Oh no. Sorry, all your scenes are cut. I don't know how to say.
But luckily they're very good, so hopefully it'll be fine. But yeah, no, I'm.
But you would encourage it.
Encourage it.
Even though there'd be like, significant like hard times but it's just all a part of it, and
it's great. And if they get a Hollywood movie, then all of a sudden I've got a whole bunch of Hollywood contacts sent to my daughter, so it's fine.
It's sort of like
really boost your career.
Could you talk to Spielberg about it? Could you get him to watch my 5-minute stand-up bits? Yeah. So it's we're very encouraging.
Very supportive.
Trying to get them to, just in case, get a trade or
economics degree,
anything that is fallbackable on.
Yeah.
Just so they don't feel, because one of the things that I appreciated was that I didn't stand up with something I got to choose to do, but I had an out if I needed it. I'm just a little worried if they come through as an actor
as
only
a kid star or something.
Because at the moment they're 14 and I don't want them to have, I don't know, like if they get a role now and maybe it's on a film that scares them, or I don't know the ethics of, because obviously there are children in films.
Yeah.
But I'm really hyper aware of like once they're out there, once they've recorded something and it can't come, you can't close that again, and then maybe when they're 18 they don't want it and they're like, why didn't you protect me better? So it's I'm struggling a lot with giving them opportunities while also protecting them should they decide that I actually don't want to be an actor.
Being the guardian, which is your job.
When I'm older, and I wish you hadn't. I wish you'd sort of encourage me not to take that on because now it's out there and I can't do this. It's really hard, and I don't. I'm there are children who have started as actors who have gone on to great success and they're happy and well adjusted, and then there are children who have gone the other way.
Struggled.
So I'm really it's hard. It's it's kind of like encouraging them and supporting what they want to do while also protecting them just in case they don't want to do it later.
Yeah.
Until they're basically until they're 18, we're very hands-on with and very careful with what we say yes and no to. Not judging any of the parents whose kids currently on Broadway. It just
what show they're doing. Yeah. Judge it. No, that's real food for thought. That's very interesting. I'm not sure how I feel a bit concerned about it. I mean,
it's
mine
hard.
are a lot littler,
yeah.
So I haven't had to really seriously think about it. But in terms of doing the job as an adult, I would be like, yes, do it, but maybe just get that electrician apprenticeship going as well at the same time or something. Like,
I think,
like you have have the other thing that you also love. Like Rowan's a farmer as well, and she also loves that, and that's a very good combination to have a job that you also really find satisfying, so you don't have to
in
just
different ways. You're not pegging everything on.
Like you've got other things, you've got community as well, so that you can pursue this thing that you're really passionate about, as well as.
I think as a parent, don't know whether it's ethical or not if kids are in movies or TV shows, because I think just as adults we just have to be really aware of the power imbalance.
I agree.
Where
that they might not understand what they're saying yes to.
Well, they
like
don't. Because what if they're 10?
It's we just have to be really, because I mean, what do we say, like that you can't have any like children in films until they're like only over 18-year-olds allowed to act. Like I don't know.
Banned. We're going to be banned kids shows.
Right. But just as adults, we have to be really hyper aware of there's a massive power imbalance.
Yeah.
So we've got to just make sure they're cared for and they're looked after, and it's just something that I think we've got to be very careful about. And not just acting, but I guess any job where there's already a power imbalance in our society as boss and employee, and that's just times a million when there's a child involved.
Absolutely.
So I just think it's I don't know the answer. I just think we have to be conscious of it.
Especially because of the content of a lot of shows, like a lot of dramas. I mean, well, look at that show Adolescence, which just come out if you're listening to this now. I don't know when you might be listening to this podcast, but you know what I mean? Like something like, I don't know if you've seen that show, but
really
there's
full-on content matter.
boy,
Yeah.
and so there's a murder, and so that's a lot of content for
like
a kid
13, 14-year-old.
a lot of stuff for someone to deal with. So it's like, how do you navigate that as a parent is really interesting.
Yeah, and like the
protect them and protect their future selves as much as you can, but also encourage their creativity and their passion and their drive, which is to be applauded and encouraged.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, some kid actors are incredible. I like so good.
And it's great that, you know, they have this opportunity. And we had kids in Rosehaven.
Such insight into people.
Then I think about that poor kid who played Prince Joffrey, and people be on the street going, "You're an asshole," and he's like, "I'm just an actor. Why is this happening?" If the world was kind and understanding, I think it would be fine. But the fact that it's not just means we have to be so careful. So it's one of those things where it's, I don't know. I don't know the answer to it. I'm sure we had children in Rosehaven. We had, you know, I just think we just had, I don't know.
Australia has very good protections overall for onset and everything.
Comforting,
but
we sort of. But you know, how are they policed? You know?
Yes.
Not really.
You're relying on the producers to uphold and respect.
Yeah. We're not a country that has,
we don't have police on set.
Well, there's not, it's just such an easy thing to get around, and, you know, there might be a policy document somewhere, but in the end it's still like.
Yeah, it's like
up to the individuals.
Jumping off the boat in the middle of the ocean and then saying like,
exactly.
Okay, we'll come in a few minutes.
Yeah. You don't want to just paint us out and have safety boats. You just don't want to paint out the safety boats.
Can't you use a drone?
And they're like, no, we don't, that'd be a lot of money in post. So we're just going to have you guys in the middle of the ocean and zoom out if that's okay. Yeah. Really? Because it feels like it'd be very easy to just paint out the boat. No, we don't want to do that.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I don't have any answers to this. I'm currently navigating it as a parent.
So maybe
thank you.
Yeah, but maybe ignore, as one last question, ignore that if was your child. What would you say, just as any person that's like getting into this, because obviously you took a big risk. If you were like, I've got $15,000, but I'm going to like fully pursue this for a year. Is that what you would recommend for like newer people coming up, or that you've just kind of got to go all in? Or
no, I don't know. I think you've got to. It's hard. There's not other than to just give it a try. The only advice I have specifically about stand-up is the first time you do it, don't invite all your mates to come watch. Just go to an open micer, sneak up, do a spot. Don't go to your workmates. Hey guys, I'm thinking about doing stand-up. Can you come and support me? No, just go by yourself. Try it. See if you like it. And
definitely
then when
don't put a clip up of your first time.
Don't have a bunch of people who you'll have to see again. For your first one. That's probably my only advice.
And your gynecologist.
That was a decision of someone who's been in it for like 15 years. So it's that's my only real advice to newcomers.
And that's good advice.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Luke.
Thank you so much. And we loved your show, but unfortunately you've only got one more in Melbourne tonight. Right? So this will come out unfortunately afterwards. But are you touring around? I'm so sorry. This isn't
we just can't get it.
Won't bump up your sales tonight. But
for Hobart or for Tassie tour, where are you touring? Or Australia somewhere?
Anywhere that is
anywhere it's on.
I've already done Perth and Adelaide now, and Canberra. But all the rest,
we'll see.
You're still coming to. Great.
All the rest I'll be there. I'll be there.
Get out and see it. It's so good.
Yeah,
we had such a lovely night.
Thanks,
and it's Raymond's last show tonight
too.
Right?
Yeah,
comedy,
which you also
again you can't come.
Sorry about that. So you missed it.
I wish you had a come.
Or maybe you went and you had a great time. Thanks for going.
And I feel like we mostly talked about child labour laws. This show's funny.
You bring the policy maker.
We didn't want to tell you that was our main part of the show.
Let's see if we can solve.
Let's get a policy maker in. We need to find it's a real niche, like comedian / policy maker.
Oh boy. Thanks for having me, Tom.
Thanks so much, Luke.
It's awesome.
Bye. Bye. Thank you for listening. If you liked us, please tell a friend or two. Apparently that's how these things work. We want to acknowledge the incredible stories, culture, resilience and creativity of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities, in particular the beautiful lands of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nations, where this podcast is recorded. Thank you also to Chris Pickering for the music and Vincent Pickering for the logo and animations. And yes, they are our brothers. We're everywhere.